Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
In a couple of minutes before we get started, what we'd like to do is to hold your questions until we go through the whole show here. And then we'll answer questions if there's something, the slide pops up, if you want an explanation on it, feel free to throw your hand up and just, but we'd rather wait for all the questions until the end of the show right there. We just went right through it. Some of these right there in the box if you want. Handouts right in the box. Oh. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, 10:30. We were going to start at 10:30, so here we go. My left is Ellen Lawrence, Clark Lawrence. She's going to be running the machine, and she and Nick and I compiled completed on this fire part of it. Nick Cushman took it on himself to do the EMS stuff because we don't know what EMS is anyway, except for emergency medical service. So without much ado, we want to start and follow it through on these pamphlets. And there's a couple other sheets I'll have with you. I can explain a couple of the slides as we get to. So, you want to start?
Sure. Thanks, Peter. Hello, everyone. Nice to see everybody. So this is it's a follow-up community meeting that we promised. Being able to just let you know where we're at right now. What's been, I can't say formalized, that's not where we're at yet. This is just what we're coming to do. This is our plan. With modifications and also input from others. So as we did, the one municipal department that the town voted on, and it's Rockingham Fire and Rescue Transition Plan. And this is just an overview of the whole proposal. Again, this is in your documents, your handouts. So it's the transition plan, and the objective is consolidate the fire departments, as we discussed. And this initiative will help to improve operational efficiency, reduce overall costs, foster a stronger collaboration among responders across all districts. Budget and financial impact.
Okay, you can see the budget total for the proposed plan is $539,851. The current total that we're spending now is $588,609 with a savings if we go with a consolidated plan would be about $50,000. We are looking at some other changes and reductions possibly. We're looking at another insurance program for the fire department. Westminster has done that, gone on theirs. We're also, the board has to make a decision, select board has to make a decision on whether we're going to have on-call pay or stipends for the different officers and firemen. And how that process is going to work out. We're going to work with Department of Labor, make sure we're not stepping on somebody's toes or getting hung on the short end of the stick. So no matter how it happens, there's $60,000 roughly set in there for the wages for the benefits is to go along with it. So we're still work in progress on that, but this is basically the budget we will be going forward with.
And then also the future plan to a new Saxon River Fire.
Right, Saxon River Station, right now as it is, we have a building that we're looking at out there on Pleasant Valley Road, just up around the corner. We are in negotiations with the owners. So that will be a in-progress situation as time goes along. We do have discussed the Plan B, at least Scott and I have, if that for some reason doesn't come to fruition. We also have a letter from Governor Senator Welch that has allocated $600,000 for the purchase of the building and upgrading the building. You know, there's got to be bigger doors and stuff for the fire department, and stuff. So we're making progress on that. If the Great White Father, Mr. Trump, decides to let us go ahead with the thing and get the money, then we should be well on our way to solve that situation. As we promised, we're going to have a new station or a station in Saxon River, Rockingham, and Bellas Falls. So that should take care of that. Okay, this is the current, proposed apparatus that's going out, the fire trucks and rescue vehicles, etc. In Rockingham, there will be 2 pumper tankers, the rescue and a brush truck. Currently, we've heard that they are going to sell the brush truck, so we may have to deal with that. Bellas Falls will have a pumper, a ladder, and a rescue, and the command vehicle, which is a pickup for the chief. Saxon River will have a rescue and a truck and a pumper out there. So with everything comes to fruition, anybody that's going to any of those stations will be able to access the use of those equipment. We've had 3 training sessions now with all those departments, and they seem to be working pretty well. Everybody's learning new stuff and learning what some of the departments have, what they haven't been working with. So that's a plus. Revenue expectations, basically what we're planning on doing, is the recruitment and attention, certification, clarification people, team camaraderie, and that sort of, so they all get together. Conflict resolution, hopefully we're not going to have an argument between firefighters at the scene. We don't need that, that's not what we're there for. And open participation in improvements. The firefighters will be able to put their input in on how they can improve the equipment or improve the department. Incident review process. After each incident, they can come back to the station and go over what did or did not go right and hopefully correct it going forward. And we have long-term community equipment. As Ellen mentioned earlier, we did get a community vote. 2 to 1. 329 people showed up at the town meeting. 191 voted for the plan and 103 voted against. So we're moving forward on that. The unified personnel system now, everybody would be come under one program where you would have a tracking for certification. So when their certification was getting close to elapsing, they would be able to have that figured out. And when they can set up a training session for that. And what we've done is contacted some local departments. We were informed that the Saxon River at the Rockingham meeting in May that they have to go to Newport, Vermont to get training now so what we're going to do is we're going to get some other area departments that need to get trained, and we'll have it local here. We'll have it at either Westminster Station, Bellas Falls, or wherever we have the right room to do it. So you won't have to go travel 2 hours to get your training and get certified. The on-call status monitoring, that comes with the program. I've been told by Sean that the program they currently have will, if we go with the on-call system payment, the time that they're on scene is all tracked. So there's not going to be up there somebody sitting down there and trying to figure out who's here, who's not. It's whatever. Now this is the command structure that the committee has agreed on. Town manager would be the end-all, wear-all. So if there's a problem, if the chief can't handle it, the deputy chief can't handle it, then it'll end up in his pocket. Right now, as it stands, we are planning on advertising for a chief. Whether it's going to be paid, we're leaning towards the paid chief because all the stuff has to get done. We have one now in Bells Falls. The other two are volunteer, and they were asked if they wanted to step up. And no, Art's retiring, and I guess Kevin's not going to be far behind with what he tells us. So they didn't want to get involved with it. So the fire captains, we're looking at a couple of those. And the same thing with lieutenants, and then the membership. And then the EMS is going to be handled by Nick Cushman. He's been temporarily appointed as the administrator for that. And you'll need a couple of people there as it shows on the screen here and in your packet. So it'll be a chief, deputy chief, an EMS coordinator, safety officers, 2 captains and 2 lieutenants. That's what it looks like right now. We haven't taken this to the committee. It's just something that got emailed to me. So this explains the reasoning for having the command structure the way it is. And as we go through this, you'll see the different areas of EMS that will make it a little clearer than this. So if you have this sheet in there, you can read it rather than having to read all this off to you. So, and this is the meeting we had, as I noticed, in May. These are the concerns that they came up with. Where the apparatus was going to go, personality conflicts, paid versus volunteer roles, application process. What's been decided that once if this ever gets off the ground, then everybody will just we have a simple application process that's in your, there is a copy of it in your packet. So you can see what it basically is, name, rank, and serial number. And then once we figure out who's on, who's off, then we'll, if there's, in the pay system, if that gets voted on, then there'll be other W-4s, which you've heard, lovely tax forms and things like that. So we'll follow up with that. Certification tracking, so we'll be able to see who needs to get certified, who is certified currently. The low participation, basically what that is, that some people have probably heard, well, we're all going to walk or whatever. So we'll deal with that as it happens. We have right now, if that does happen, quite a few people do go. Local area departments have all stepped up and said, it's not a problem, we'll help you guys cover it. So we're not too concerned about the low participation. We don't want to see them go, but if that's the decision, we can't put a gun back at it. It doesn't work. And then the gear and emergency lights came up. We're working on that. Then officer retention. So the answers or the solutions are on the right side there. Those are what we're going to plan on doing for that. So, and then we went to New Saxon River. And as you can see, the same thing came up. Pay versus the stipend confusion. The thing was, why we want 3 stations versus 1 station. Some of all the surrounding towns only have 1 station. Well, we proposed this with 3 stations, basically to handle insurance issues that we were informed of, but some people that weren't close to a fire station got outrageous fire insurance premiums. So we're going to retain the 3 stations we got. Then the same thing with that's the second one down, the next one down was insurance misconceptions. There's a confusion between that. Lost applications. One of the gentlemen stood up and said that he applied at the Bells Falls Fire Department, and supposedly he said the application got lost. This was probably 15 years ago. And lack of prevention program. One of the firefighters in Saxon River said that they don't get involved too much with the fire prevention that happens out there. In October, the fire department usually go around and do the fire prevention program in the schools. And the positive training feedback. So there's the answers to those questions all right. Okay, this is the compensation, and in this packet, we did include a sample a policy that Haven runs under. They have they offer an on-call thing, and in there it spells out that you get a one hour minimum pay for response, and no pay for meetings and trainings. That's separate. You know, not get paid for that. Only get paid if you're at an incident. Mileage reimbursement, if you got to go to training, we will be reimbursed, depending on where you have to go. And non-employees eligible for alarm pay, that is, we have a few guys in the department that are on the highway department, and if they go to an alarm, then they will be also eligible for pay. Okay, that takes care of the fire hydrant. Now we'll get Mr. Cushman to come back up, see if he's got the expertise to this, and let him run through the EMS thing. There's a lot of information here, so that's why we printed up the handout. So you're next.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I noticed a lot of fairly decent faces, but some that I don't. For those that don't know, my name's Nick, and I'm on Section of Rescue. And as Peter said, I've been tasked with getting this plan set up for EMS. So what these slides are now is what I put together on why I think we need an advanced level first response in the town of Rockingham. So on average, when somebody calls 911 to get EMS, most people think EMS is ambulance. But in addition to ambulances, you also get first response. And that's what we're talking about, is first response. So a first responder, by definition, is a person who shows up before the ambulance arrives. Their basic job is to stabilize the patient, get the scene ready for the ambulance. So when the ambulance gets there, just load, transport. And by doing so, it gets everybody back in service much sooner. So there are 5 different levels of EMS. There's the Vermont first responder, emergency medical responder, EMT, advanced EMT, paramedic, and critical care paramedic. The most common ones that we see in the field are what we're going to go through here. So the Vermont first responder is basically used for fire personnel that really don't want to sit through hours and hours of training. And they can do basic life support, critical incident stabilization, and are only licensed in the state of Vermont. Emergency medical responders, that's a national certification. They had to take 60 plus hours of class, do ride time, do clinical hours, and obtain a national certification. EMT just adds on to assessments and treatments. And advanced EMT, which is what I'm looking at for the plan, that allows us to do everything that the EMT, EMR, VFR, plus advanced airways, IVs, medications, cardiac monitoring, everything else that patients benefit from. And then there's paramedic. If you look, we'll go over to in a couple more slides here on what departments have what for personnel. There are 2 paramedics that I'm aware of on the current departments. At this point, those paramedics cannot operate as paramedics because they're on services that are only licensed at a BLS level. So we're restricting them from the care that they can provide. So in 2024, there was over 1,000 incidents for ambulances dispatched. Not all the ambulances were covered by our primary service for whatever reason. System gets busy, sometimes they have 2 trucks, sometimes they have 1, and we responded to about 500 of them townwide. And when we have to wait for ambulances, you're waiting anywhere between 20 minutes, 45 minutes, sometimes up to an hour, depending on where they're coming from. So, like I said, first response is more than just medical calls. We support firefighters. If you've ever gone to a fire scene, you've seen ambulance people and first response helping the firefighters set up hydrants and everything else. So we're a support system for fire. We also help with police doing medical procedures. We do event standbys and all that other stuff. And if the ambulance gets busy, or they don't have the license level to care for a particular patient that a first response service has, then we can ride in with them. So, as I stated, that's what the current breakdown is for membership townwide. I don't have exact numbers for Bellas Falls or Rockingham, but that's based off of data that I'm aware of. So when we combine everything, we've got a pretty healthy dose of people. And I realize that some people may not stick around, we may gain some, we may lose some, but based on current numbers, that's what we have. So in 2024, not everybody wants to go to the hospital, believe it or not. They call for an ambulance to pick them up off the floor, they don't want to go. You have somebody call 911 because they stubbed their toe and want to check at 2 o'clock in the morning. It happens. Ambulances get dispatched to that, and it takes them out of service anywhere between 20 minutes to over an hour. And if there's a stressed ambulance service or contract service coming in, you're now tying up that only resource in the area to deal with that. First response can deal with that without an ambulance. So this kind of breaks down the times a little bit more. As everybody in the fire service knows, structure fires go anywhere from 20 minutes to 6+ hours. And an ambulance is dedicated to that scene the entire time. My proposal as part of this is the ambulance doesn't get dispatched unless there's a confirmed injury. Because first response should go there, they can do the scene rehab, and they can start any interventions on scene if something does come down while an ambulance does respond. So as I said earlier, patient care begins immediately, scene's prepped, everybody gets into service faster. And this kind of does a little breakdown. Currently in Bellas Falls, first response only responds when the ambulance requests them or it's a high priority call. And the time data for that with just the ambulance on scene is anywhere between 20 minutes to 45 minutes to get from on scene to the time they start transporting, because they don't have people there helping them. It's just 2 people trying to do everything. So some of the things that we can do moving forward as an advanced level service and potentially get into some billing to help offset budget is a program called Mobile Integrated Health. You guys have probably seen it on the news where people go out in little fly cars, check on people who are elderly, not able to get out. We can go there, do home visits, check in on them, and that saves from them having to call an ambulance and tie up ER beds and everything else. It's still currently in pilot modes throughout the nation, and they are working on ways to be able to bill for it. We would also be able to do more community education classes. And yeah, if you guys watch the news, medical care is struggling. I mean, you got the closure of the healthcare clinic up here, down around Brattleboro area, visiting nurses backed out of their contracts down there. It's happening. And it sucks that it's happening. So by building this first response at the AEMT level, we can continue to provide advanced level care to the patients that need it. So the timeline, all the general policies, agreements, everything like that stuff is done. It's just waiting for approval. Once we get to the approvals from that, we're looking at maybe a month from the time everything gets submitted to the time we get our state license. So we're just looking for support from everybody. And this is your community, you tell us what you need. Anybody have any questions on the medical side of things? No questions? All right, I'll pass it back over to those guys.
So you can take questions on fire, we'll stop, I'll try and answer if we can, with what we got in the plan. So fire away if you have one, and we'll try and get you an answer. And there's some people in the audience we can call on for additional help if we can't get stumped like what. So. Well, you did, I thought it was going to go. I thought we had all kinds of questions here, but I guess our show kind of answered a lot of questions going in. So, they say it's a work in progress, but this is as far where we've got 2 more meetings coming up that we'll be discussing the pay issues and apparatus if they need to have other stuff. So we are going along, and this is the action plan to move forward. So as I said, we're going to confirm that's where the apparatus placement goes. That's where we, with the 3 chiefs that we currently have now, and that we'll work out a plan for where everything goes. And the application process in your packet is a pretty simple application, and then on the bottom, one of our meetings, somebody said, well, maybe they might want to know why they're signing up. So on the bottom, you'll see 5 or 6, maybe 10 reasons why maybe they want to become a member. So finalize the compensation model. The board will have to make that decision. They don't pay them. So select board will be working on that in the next couple of weeks. And joint training and onboarding. If anybody has a question on how that went, I think Wade and Sheriff still here. He was running that. I understand Art ran one of the classes that went well with Rockingham. Unfortunately, I can't here, but evidently they are working. Some of the guys are learning what's on the truck. So if somebody are at a scene, they said, "Go get me this," the guy doesn't have to say, "Where's that? Which truck's that on?" They know by this training. And then the recruit the fire chief, we're going to say we've had 3 or 4 exterior outside department fire chiefs that are willing to get in on the interview process, and it will probably be a 5 to 7 member committee that will be there. We don't want to get too many people to scare the applicants away. They got to run a gauntlet and get a little nervous. So that's the plan going forward. So we're open to questions if you have any. Yes, sir.
Question, sir. The plan as it's developed is based on current experience in trades, correct?
Some of it is, and some of it's based on what we plan to do going forward.
The question is, given the current weather situation we're in, and the increasing severity of the winter storms and these rainstorms that we've been getting, when something is going to happen, like what happened on 91 in March, it is catastrophic. Is your plan sufficient to comprehend that?
We think it is. It will be once we get it, finalized.
Because things seem to be changing. As things change, demands change.
Right. Because there is another portion to the whole thing that's not associated with EMS and fire, but there is a emergency management system in place in this town, and there are people that are assigned to that handle those type of emergencies that they call. So if there's alarms in the flood, something, the emergency management coordinator will get everybody together and work it out. That's the way it's been done in the past, and we soon we're going to continue that same process.
Should we get a mic? Would anybody like a microphone? Is anybody having trouble hearing the discussion?
In case anybody can't talk about it like that, yes. Bill, thanks for coming.
You later. Okay. So to kind of answer your question a little bit more on the operational aspect of things, for that incident that happened with multiple cars on the interstate, there is localized and regional agreements, especially on the fire and EMS side, that something that large scale is put out through our dispatch center, and they have full protocols on what to call for people. You probably saw in the news articles, there were pictures of Rescue Inc. and Cheshire County and, everybody just there. So on the medical side of things, looking at the current numbers of personnel, I think that would have been ideal. Like, you're not going to get everybody for every call, but when you're talking 30 to 40 people of medically certified people running around on the interstate or something like that, I think that's well more beneficial. To the best of my knowledge, the way the current system is, it was only maybe a half a dozen medical people that were originally on scene.
Anyone else? You don't want to get out quicker than you thought we were going to get out. If there's no further questions, don't forget there are handouts over there and take with you. And we'll go from there. We appreciate you guys all coming. And if you have any questions at any time, you can contact us through the website. Our names are pretty much in there in the email system. Some of us have phone numbers on there. So we have a meeting on the 21st with the fire committee coming up. And the transition team of that thing, there's a Wade Crooked, is there another training session you got scheduled?
There'll be one later August, yeah.
Okay. So, and there are copies of the minutes of all the meetings are on the website. Just go down, go rockbf.org, agendas and minutes, and you can go right down there and tells you the date and time and where points the committee meetings are being held, and the minutes of the previous minutes are on there. There's been quite lengthy minutes. They cover a lot of this character. Okay. That looks like it's going to be about it. Making sure you're all out in the nice warm weather out there, but I guess we're done here. So, appreciate y'all for coming, and say you have any questions, don't be afraid to come.
Thank you for watching this Fact TV presentation. If you would like a digital or DVD copy of the meeting, please contact us by phone or email. Our phone number is 802-463-1613 or email us at fact810@gmail.com. Falls Area Community Television, keeping government honest.